ExTrans people who have detransitioned or in the process of doing so, why?
Okay, so I was SAed when I was around 10 years old, so in my mind I thought that if I were a boy, it wouldn't have happened, which I know it's not the case, it can happen to anyone, but I was just a child. Fast forward to 13 years old me, I was sure I was a trans boy, 100%. I came out and for 3 years I lived as Cole. I didn't start hormones, but I had socially transitioned. There were times when I was doubting myself, I wasn't so sure, but I couldn't understand why. The SA part happened again around 16 and it hit me, so I went to my therapist and just told her everything. I spoke to my family and friends. Now I'm almost 19 years old and still healing. I hate when people still call me Cole, but hey, I can't do much about it.
Long story short, I realized I didn't need to go all in to be comfortable with myself, plus, the crippling self-loathing I had over not looking enough like a cis girl was way worse than my dysphoria was beforehand. In the end I settled to just do whatever the fuck felt right, and decided to slap the non-binary label on myself, demi-boy if you wanna get specific, and call it a day. Would I like to magically be born again as a cis girl? Yeah, but that's not how the world works, so I picked the option that in my situation led to the best outcome, and I'm now truly happy. Hell, I don't need therapy for my depression anymore, and in just 2 months I'll be off my meds for it, which is something I never imagined possible. While this might not be the best option for most trans people, it was for me.
I started HRT to transition from MTF in my mid-30s. I was on it for about a year and a half, almost 2. My experience was great. I had a lot of love and support from my friends and family, and I was enjoying all the changes. Then the pandemic happened and my provider team closed and left the state. I had to leave the state as well, and find employment somewhere else. I started a new job, a new healthcare plan, and I had been off of HRT inadvertently for 6 months by the time everything normalized in my life. I started to dream as male again. I realized I wasn't as hormonal and sensitive. When we started working in person again last year, I was presenting as a male again. My new coworkers have only known me this way, and it was admittedly easier than having to explain transitioning a dozen or so different times to different coworkers. Also, my family is still just as supportive. I don't know if I'll retransition or not.
My little sister began a social transition when she was 16. She cut her hair, went by a different name, wore men's clothing, and began binding. I supported her, but when I realized that she was just as depressed and insecure as before, I had a long conversation with her where I just let her say anything that she was feeling. It turns out, she was struggling with a sexuality crisis, and felt understandably uncomfortable with the male gaze femininity that's forced down our throats 24/7. So, she started experimenting with femininity on her own terms, and is now extremely happy. I'm extremely happy for her. This doesn't in any way discredit trans people who are comfortable with their decisions.
Reading this thread, I see 2 things in common with every story: mental health and societal expectations. These are both things that world still does not put enough solutions into. A lot of these peoples could have gone through life without having to start transition to realize they just had mental issues. The world needs to overcome these obstacles.
The number of negative comments based on semantics is crazy. Can't we assume a question is well-intentioned these days? If we attack everyone who is uninformed on a topic you are close to, how do you hope to gain support and acceptance? It seems really counterproductive.
I never actually transitioned, but it turned out that I just don't like my assigned gender, not that I was supposed to be a different one. No errors to fix, just getting used to a body I don't want.